Welcome agents, today I want to talk to you about P416 balancing, or Nerf some might call it, the Eagle Bearer and its exclusivity to the Raid, and also two game modes I like to see return to the Division 2. If you enjoy this video, please hit the like button below, subscribe for dedicated Division content, and let's get to it. Okay, let's start with the hot topic right now, and that's the P416 Nerf, or balancing if you want to call it that. Now first off, the P416 is not getting a nerf. It started off with a number of tweets from Frederick Thylander, which people, myself included, assumed it meant the P416 was going to be getting a nerf sometime soon. Now this tweet here says, the P416 is an outlier. It has a different DPS because it was a large game to ship, and sometimes we humans make mistakes. Now this tweet, I believe, is the one people took as the P416 is getting a nerf, which, you know, it doesn't actually say. In fact, following all the videos saying the P416 is getting a nerf, Frederick put out this tweet saying, nobody is nerfing the P416 in TU5. There's nothing to be upset about. If there's a balanced pass on guns, it will be announced, tested on PTS, and taken feedback on. I was asked if it was too high in damage. I said it was. Simple as that. So there you go. I mean, what the first tweet did reveal is the devs are aware the P416 is an outlier, and they missed this during the shipping of the game. This shouldn't come as much of a surprise though. The devs are aware because the weapon is by far the best assault rifle in the game, aside from the Eagle Bearer, seeing as it's the only weapon being kind of used, at least assault rifle wise. Now Frederick went on to confirm the P416 may well be looked at when they do a weapon balance and pass, and of course people responded saying the devs should only be buffing the other guns in the game. Now Frederick responded saying, so buff every single weapon in the game, adjust the kill times accordingly in both OVE and PvP, rebalance the Raid and Heroic to avoid nerfing one gun slightly. Roger that. So what do you guys think about that? If the devs announced a weapon balancing patch and intended to balance the P416 instead of buffing all the other weapons, would you be okay with that? I personally completely understand where Frederick is coming from, to be honest, but that's not to say that I agree with him here. There's an argument for both sides from where I'm sitting. As the game currently stands, the best weapons are the P416, the Eagle Bearer, and any kind of slow firing rate LMG. Aside from shotguns, but these are being balanced for TU5, along with the time to kill being reduced, so all weapon classes should feel more viable when TU5 drops. Now, if the devs decided, you know what, we're going to balance the P416 and we're going to bring it down to the same level as every other assault rifle in the game, well, that just means there's the Eagle Bearer, which is a Raid exclusive with a very, very low drop chance, and then any slow firing LMG like the M60 left. Basically, it just leaves the LMGs left as being the best weapons in the game. Now, I think the only way they could go about this, if they decided this was the right thing to do, would be to balance the LMGs as well. I mean, ultimately, I've said before that I'd like the weapons to go through a similar pass to what the skills have just been through. Using the P416 as the high ceiling, take every weapon in the game and buff them up to this level. Yeah, it would be a lot of work, but if the time to kill has not been lowered enough, then nerfing the P416 will only make it so the time to kill feels that much longer. I mean, it's the only weapon in the game, at least assault rifle wise, that feels like it does enough damage. Now, I really like what the devs have done with the skills. They've, making a very comprehensive pass and overhaul of their power. So I don't think it's out of the question that the same can't be done for the weapons as well. I would like to hear what you guys have to think about this. It's obvious that a balancing pass for weapons will happen at some point in the near future. So I just really hope the devs consider buffing all of the weapons in the game. You know, one of my favourite weapons is the G36, which is absolutely terrible. I love the AK, which, again, these weapons, if there was no P416, I mean, even if the P416 wasn't in the game, these weapons would still feel very underpowered. So, yeah, that's why I really hope they consider buffing all of the other weapons. If the devs, however, decide they're going to balance or nerf the P416, they should do the same for the LMGs and then lower the time to kill slightly. I'd understand if they did it this way. I really would, as I assume this would be far easier for them. But whatever happens, I just don't want to have a situation where I pick up... I just want to have a situation where I pick up almost any weapon in the game and know it will perform, it'll be viable. And, we had the house SMG meta in the Division, but to be honest, we had the lightweight M4, Lover C, MG5, SVD, and the list goes on and on and on. And so many more weapons, basically, that were really, really viable. Thinking of that, I remember how fun it was to run an SVD with a Deadeye build. I really do miss those days, and we don't have that, at least in the weapon sense, in the Division 2. So let's hope they buff all the weapons. They do a good pass like they did with skills, a very comprehensive pass, and they buff all the weapons up to the P416 high ceiling. Anyway, let's move on. So bouncing from one controversial topic to another right now, and mentioned by the devs in Wednesday's State of the Game, is the exotic Eagle Bearer being a raid exclusive. Now the devs stated this was an open conversation internally and externally, and something they want feedback on, so I think it's probably worth talking about this. I recommend you leave your thoughts about this in the comments down below. This is likely going to split the community, but I personally think the Eagle Bearer should remain as a raid exclusive, and this is coming from someone who's not done the raid and really wants the Eagle Bearer. Now there's two reasons why for me this needs to remain as is. Firstly, I think the raid needs unique rewards in order to give it that replayability factor. How many people do you think will do the raid more than once if they could get, unique gear and weapons elsewhere like the Eagle Bearer? I really don't think anyone would, and I actually believe the main reason people are still running the raid there's three reasons I can think of, actually. The first reason is they're Sherpas showing other people their way through the raid. It's their first time, or they haven't got the Eagle Bearer yet. And as soon as you allow people to get this weapon elsewhere, the raid kind of becomes a one-time and done activity because it really offers nothing else. Now, the raid has to have something unique in order to encourage replayability. If I had it my way, I'd tie more than just one exotic weapon to the raid. The gear sets don't appear to be that great, but I've not tested them myself, so I can't say too much on that. But I've literally seen no videos or talk about them, so I'm just going to assume that no one really cares about them. Now, I'd tie maybe 4 to 6 weapons, for example, giving people that incentive to run the raid more often. So I'd tie about 4 to 6 weapons to the raid, maybe exotic in quality, I don't know, but at least something unique. I'd also increase the drop chance of the Eagle Bearer. And the second reason why I think the Eagle Bearer should remain as a raid exclusive is because I really think it would be a big two fingers to all the people who've formed an 8-man fire team, completed the raid, and then been lucky enough to have it drop. I mean, the drop chance of the Eagle Bearer is very low. I can't imagine the backlash if the devs went ahead and allowed the Eagle Bearer to drop in other places. What I'd recommend to the devs is, if they decide to go down this route, they implement this with the next raid for new exotics, that way no one is actually already grinded for them, and no one will feel like their time has been wasted. Again, let me know what you guys think about this. Also, before we move on, the devs confirmed that they've not got a final stance on the loot pool for the new discovery mode for the raid. Do you guys think the Eagle Bearer should drop from this mode? I'm almost 99% sure this won't happen, but I'd be interested to see what people think about that. I personally don't think it should. Just to remind you guys, I've not actually done the raid. I don't have the Eagle Bearer, and I'm probably never going to get it as long as it stays as a raid exclusive, because I just don't have the time, and I'm completely fine with that. Last but not least, when are we getting survival back and a mode like Last Stand in PvP? The Division 2 is really missing some game modes that offer, again, that replayability, and from what people have told me about Expeditions and what the devs have actually said about it, this new mode is not going to fulfill that daily need. Now, it appears this is going to be a weekly thing, so what am I going to do daily in the game? In the Division, I had Last Stand and I had Survival to feed me daily. PvP is unfortunately in a bad way, and it needs a serious pass like the skills, but aside from this, Conflict is just not cutting it at all, which is a shame because the same format worked in the Division. Survival for me was one of those game modes I could play every single day for an hour or two, get lost in it, and whilst it wasn't rewarding in the loot it gave you, it felt rewarding to challenge yourself. You could have pistol only or last as long as possible. That's what she said. Or, just the overall feeling of going through the mode, collecting all of the stuff and extracting out after killing a hunter. All of that stuff just for me was very rewarding. It offered something unique, and it had both the PvE and PvP elements if you wanted them. Now, I appreciate this is, it's completely off topic of this video, but I just wanted to add this at the end. No doubt there will be some PvP modes added in the future, and likely somewhat similar to Survivor, but I just wish they had this now. The devs are doing everything they can to fix the game, but having content drop every 4 months might become a real problem, especially if the content is quite shallow. With TU5, we've got a lot of changes to skills and all that sort of stuff, but aside from that, the only things that are going to be new are 2 new missions. You get 2 new classified assignments, and that's for only Year 1 pass holders. You got the discovery for the raid, but that's not really new content. And then you've also got expeditions, which, again, from what I've been told and what the devs have said, this is a weekly activity. It's not daily. And apart from that, there's really nothing else. So this doesn't appear like there's much to, again, keep us going for over another 4 months before we get the next episode 2. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking around until the end, guys, and supporting me, because I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I encourage you to interact with the video, whether that be a comment or a like on the video. And until the next one, guys, epic out.